Good morning. Uh, I'll share now the screen, and if you face any problem, because I cannot see the chat, so please say if you have any problem. Your quiz will begin at 12 afternoon. Okay, so after 1 hour. Can you see my screen?
Yes, doctor, we can see your screen.
I think we completed this numerical example. So we'll go to the next topic. So half-wave rectifier with RLE load. Half-wave rectifier with RLE load. E means battery. Okay, source, a DC source, or a battery. So this is a kind of battery charger. You can see this as a battery charger. The rectifier will charge the battery. Okay, so if we have this kind of load, then we have to analyze the circuit behavior. So you see here what happens, that you have the voltage here, anode voltage, and you have cathode voltage. So this voltage is your source voltage. Here you have source voltage, and here you have the battery voltage. So the diode will turn on only when the anode terminal have higher voltage compared to the cathode. So here this is the source that we have drawn, and here is the battery voltage. Okay, here is the battery voltage. So you see at these points, at these points, the V source is less than VDC. So diode is off. Diode is off. Now, as soon as you reach this point, at this point, Vs is equal to VDC. So after this point, as soon as Vs become greater than VDC, the diode will be on. Diode will be on. And once the diode is on, we will have the current. The current will start rising. The current will start rising. And this angle, we call it alpha. So how we can get the value of alpha? So you see, when Vm sine alpha becomes equal to VDC, so alpha, you can get sine alpha as VDC by Vm. So from here you get alpha as sine inverse VDC by Vm. What is VDC? VDC is the voltage of the battery. Okay, and what is Vm? Vm is the peak value of the source, the peak value of the source. So you see here, they have shown a delay in the start of the current. This is just to consider that if you have some voltage drop across this, but I will consider this as ideal. Current exactly from here. I will start current exactly from here. Okay, and the current will rise. Current will rise, and then at this point, the voltage drops. So the diode will be turned off. The diode will be turned off. So diode is only on from here to here. And then as soon as the diode is turned off, due to this inductor, the current will not suddenly drop to zero, but current will slowly fall. The current will slowly fall. So current will slowly fall and it will reach zero somewhere at angle beta. Okay. So this is called extinction angle. This is called extinction angle, at which the current becomes zero. So alpha, it will start operating, and beta is the point at which the current becomes zero. Do you understand this? Do you understand this? Okay. Now,
Beta
right,
angle again.
this is called extinction angle at which the current becomes zero. You see, the current does not become zero at pi, but it extend up to angle beta. This is due to the fact that you have inductor in the circuit. So due to this inductance, the current does not drop suddenly to zero. It takes some time, and that time is this. It takes this some time to drop to zero, and it reaches at zero at beta. Okay. So the current exists between alpha to beta. Okay. So if we write the KVL equation, if we write the KVL equation in this loop, then it will be source voltage is equal to the resistive voltage drop plus the inductive voltage drop plus the voltage of the battery. Okay. Now, when you solve this differential equation, you get the response as this. It has the forced response. Now, in the forced response, the forced response is both. So it has the forced response and it has the natural response. So forced response is this part, and the natural response is this part. And this current is only existing between alpha to beta. Otherwise, it remains zero. And now, to get the value of A, how you get the value of A? When you put you see, when you put I alpha is zero. I at alpha is equal to zero. So you put in place of this omega t alpha. Okay. And in place of this omega t, you put alpha. Here you put alpha. And theta becomes equal to beta. Okay. So this is your value of A. This is the value of the unknown constant A. And what is the, to get the average power loss is the I square into R, because the power loss only takes place in the resistance. It does not take place in the inductance, but you will have some power that will be absorbed by the battery. Okay. So some power that will be lost in the resistance and some power that will be absorbed in the battery. So we have to see how much power that is absorbed by the battery and what is the power loss in the resistance. So to get the power loss in the resistance, it is I square RMS into R. And how you get the I square RMS? This is alpha into beta. From alpha to beta, I square. This is how you get IRMS. So from this IRMS, you can get I square RMS times R. That will give you the power loss. And the average power absorbed, yes.
Yes, doctor, and the last slide to confirm. So when current begins to fall, the diode becomes open circuit, right?
Yes, it should be off. The diode should be off, but actually, because of the inductor effect, it is not off. There is some, it takes some time, for the current to fall. Only to zero here. If it is a resistive load, this would have fall here. You see, if you get a resistive load, it will it will be like, sorry, let me, if suppose it is a resistive load, then immediately at this point, the current will fall to 0. Okay. And the rise also is because of the inductor. If it is a resistance, it will be like this. It will follow the voltage and then it will fall here. But since we have the inductor, so it will not fall immediately. It will take some time for the fall. So I think I put wrong this on condition. The on should be up to this point. The diode will be on up to this point. Okay, the diode will be on up to this point. And I assume this to be ideal. So the current will start rising. Current will start rising. At this point, the source voltage is less than the diode voltage, the battery voltage. So the current starts falling. Current starts falling, and it will fall and it will reach 0 here. Okay. So due to this inductive effect, the current go beyond pi and go beyond this value. Yes. Does this answer your question?
So the diode remains, because of the inductor, diode remains on beyond pi by a bit, right?
Yes. It will remain until beta. From alpha to beta, it will remain on. And at that time, the current will rise and then it will fall to 0.
Okay, thank you.
Now, so the average power absorbed by the DC source is given by the average current times the DC voltage. That's the power that is absorbed by the DC source. And what is I naught? Yes.
Can you please go to the previous slide? So you mean the voltage should be shifted up to beta? It will be off at beta, the voltage also, or the graph is right? You said
no. You see how the voltage will. This is the current waveform. Okay. This is the current waveform. This is the current waveform that is shown as like this. Okay. This is the current waveform. So the voltage from here to here, if you want to see the voltage across the load, so voltage across the load will be like this. Okay. So this is the current waveform that is shown. This is the source voltage that is shown. This is source voltage that is shown. So you will have some negative voltage across the load also, and that is happening because effect. So now the average power absorbed by the DC source is I naught into VDC. And how you get the average current? The average current is 1 by the time period divided by integral from alpha to beta and I omega d omega t. What is I omega? I omega is this. This is I omega. This is I omega. Okay. Now, if you assume the diode and inductor to be ideal, there is no average power absorbed by diode and there is no average power absorbed by inductor. So the power that is supplied by the source is equal to the sum of the power absorbed by the resistor and the DC source. So the total power supplied by the source will be equal to the power lost in the resistance plus the power absorbed by the DC source. Okay. And it is said that, or you can compute the power from here. So either you compute from power from here or you compute power from this equation. Okay. Now, based on this, there is this problem. It says that for the circuit, resistance is 2, inductance is 20 milli, DC volt is 100 volt, the AC source is 120 volt RMS at 60 hertz. Determine the expression for the current in the circuit. So to get the expression for the current, so this is the expression for the current. So what we should know, Vm Z, VDC, R, A, tau. This thing we should know. So what is the peak value? VM is this 120 into root 2. 120 is given as the RMS value. So the peak value is 169.7. And what is impedance of the load is under root R square plus omega L square. And R given, omega given. Omega you can obtain from 60 hertz. So omega is 2 pi f. So which is 2 pi into 60, which is 377. So you get 7.8. Then theta, how you get theta? Theta is the impedance angle, which is obtained as tan inverse omega L by R. So 1.31 radian. And how you get alpha? Alpha you get because alpha we obtain as sine inverse VDC, that is the voltage of the source, voltage of the battery divided by peak value of the source. So it is 100 and this is 169. So from here you get the angle as 36, which is in radian is 0.63. And omega into tau, what is tau? Tau is L by R. So you get L by R, L is 20 and this is 10 into 10 to the power of minus 3. So you get 3.77 radian. And then you get the expression for the current. And you have to get the value of A also. So this is the value of A and the expression for A was also given. Then you have to find the value of the extension angle beta is found from the solution. So you see when you put omega t is equal to beta, and when you put omega t is equal to beta, and when you put omega t is equal to beta, then this current will be 0, because when omega t is equal to beta, the current is 0. The current is 0. So when you put I beta is equal to 0, this is your equation, and then this equation will be solved using root finding software, and you can find from the in the MATLAB you have the built-in function where you can use to solve for beta. So the beta is obtained as 3.37, and then since we have to find out the power, power absorbed by the resistance. So power absorbed by the resistance is I square into R. So you get the IR RMS. So once again, the integration program is used to calculate the RMS value of the current, and from there you find the power loss. Then power absorbed by the battery is I naught into VDC, and I naught is the average current 1 by 2 pi 0.63.
Doctor?
So once again, yes.
Doctor, will you please go to the previous slide? Doctor, here in number A, using equation 322, how did we calculate 75.3?
I don't know how they calculate. You have to check how they calculated, and I don't know, because I have not solved the problem. Let me check in the book. Yeah, maybe, I don't know, like you, because they said that this is equation number 3.22. Okay, this is equation number 3.22. So I don't know how they have solved this, but this is the solution. Please try at your end. Try to find
Is it given from the question, or?
No, it's not given in the question. It just says that using equation 3.22, we find the equation. But I see there is one issue here, is that to find A, you should know the value of alpha and beta. But beta was not known before. This is known. It is known. VDC is known. R is known. Alpha is known. So Okay, maybe, yeah, maybe they find, yeah, okay. You see here, to get the value of A, we can put at omega t is equal to alpha. If I put omega t is equal to alpha, we will have Vm by Z into sine of alpha minus theta minus VDC by R plus A into e to the power of minus alpha by omega tau. Okay. And this should be equal to 0 because at current at alpha is 0 current. Now from this equation you can get the value of A. You can get the value of A because you know theta, you know alpha, you know everything. So you can get the value of A, and that they have done here, I think. Because you see, alpha is known, theta is known, omega tau is known. So you put here the value of alpha and theta, and then you can obtain. So you see, we can do that. And Vm is 169.7. Vm is, let us check. Vm is 169.7 divided by the impedance, which is 7.8 times sine of alpha. Alpha is 0.63 minus theta is 1.31 minus VDC. The value of VDC is given as 100 divided by R, which is 2 plus A times e to the power of minus alpha, which is 0.63 divided by omega t, which is 3.77. Okay, so everything is known, and this should be equal to 0. So from here you get A. Okay, is it clear?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so then the this is the average current, and once you know the average current, you can find the power absorbed by the DC source, and then the total power supplied by the AC source will be equal to the power absorbed in the resistance plus power absorbed by the DC source, and then power factor will be P upon VRMS into IRMS. VRMS this already given, and IRMS we have calculated here 3.98. and the power loss we obtain as 256, so we can get the power factor. Okay. This is the same. This is the RL load. This no, not R. This is only L and E load. Inductance and battery. So the same thing like we already discussed. There is now working of the freewheeling diode. You see, sometime across the load, you need to connect a diode across the load. And this is called freewheeling diode. This is called freewheeling diode. Why it is called freewheeling diode? Because it operates without any source. When there is no source on this side, this circuit is off. It operates like this. It allows the the load to discharge through the diode. So it allows the load to discharge its energy. So this is called freewheeling diode. So this is like in the mode where there is no source connected. It is only the load and the diode. This is connected together. Now this is required sometime that you need to connect a freewheeling diode. Suppose if this is an inductive circuit and if you want to switch off the supply from this end, then you cannot do that because the inductor needs some path for the inductor current needs some path. And how you provide a path? You provide a path by providing a anti-parallel diode. So this diode is called freewheeling diode, so that even if you have like there is no source from this side, you can still allow the current to flow through this diode, and this is called the freewheeling diode. Now, if you recall that in case of if there was no freewheeling diode, then what was happening that the voltage, the load voltage was going in the like negative. Voltage was going negative. And why voltage was going negative? Because of the inductor in the load. Because of inductive effect in the load, you see that the current goes like this, and it takes some time for the current to drop to zero. So the load voltage will have some negative part. And due to this negative part of the voltage, the average voltage will reduce. The average voltage will go down. Why? Because we have this positive and this negative. So this negative will cause the overall average voltage to be reduced. Okay. So if we don't want this negative voltage, what you do that you just connect a freewheeling diode here. So as soon as the source voltage goes negative, that means this become negative and this become positive, the diode turns on. So this negative part of the load voltage will be clipped, will no more be there. So you will have, this was your, now you will have this, and this negative voltage will be clipped. And you will have this as your load voltage. Because this is on. When this diode is on, this is like a short circuit. So voltage across the load will be zero. Ideally. If it is not ideal, then it will be having equal to the voltage that is dropped across the diode. Do you understand this point?
Yes, doctor.
Doctor, I had a question.
Yes.
I don't understand the like what you just said about the inductor current going through this freewheeling diode. Like how
No,
will
just now, yeah, you see, just now we have seen that the inductor, if you have inductor in the load, then the current does not stop at this point and it goes beyond this. Yes, it goes
Yes.
beyond this phi. And due to this period of conduction, the load voltage will be having a negative part also. So negative part means what? This is negative and this is positive. It will reverse. The voltage will reverse. And due to this reversal, what will happen? That the overall average voltage will reduce, because we have some part negative also. So as soon as you have negative here, what happens? This negative and this positive will cause this diode to turn on. And this diode will turn on, then the voltage across the load will be what? It will be same as this voltage. With the voltage across the diode and the voltage across the load will be the same, that is zero. So it will not be negative, but it will be zero. It will try to be negative, but as soon as it tries to negative, the diode turns on, the freewheeling diode turns on, and the current flows like this, in this direction. And this part is not in the circuit. So you have only the resistance, the inductance, and the diode, and the current freewheels. This is called current freewheeling. Okay. Why it is happening? Because as soon as the negative voltage across the load is coming, this negative will cause the freewheeling diode to turn on. Okay. So
yes, doctor, but shouldn't we have the forward voltage across the diode in practical situations like points?
yes, certainly. It will be like, very small voltage will be here, 1.5 volt. That will be coming across the load. So it will be like you will have this, and then there will be some voltage. Okay, some voltage. But for the analysis purpose, we assume this to be zero. So it is more like EV. So this was like, this has shown like little more, but this was your current, and the diode was conducting up to this point. This is too much, like, they have given shown too much. Let me redraw. So let me redraw it. So this is my source, and this is my current. Okay, and this was my original case. The diode was on up to this point. Diode was on until this point. Okay, this was original case. Now with the freewheeling diode, what will happen? That your main diode will off at this point. Main diode will be off at this point, and the source voltage become 0, and from here to here your freewheeling diode will be on. Freewheeling diode will be on. So your freewheeling diode will conduct from here to here, and your main diode will conduct from here to here. So before it was only one diode, so it was conducting throughout from here to here. But now, due to the presence of the freewheeling diode, the negative portion will be taken care by the freewheeling diode. Okay. Now the next topic is half wave rectifier with RC filter. Okay, or with RC load, or you can say capacitor is acting as a filter. Okay, so we can say half wave rectifier with C filter. We can also call this as half wave rectifier with C filter. Yeah, remember that what is the property of the inductor and capacitor? Inductor, the impedance is j omega L. Yes, inductance is j omega L. So for omega is equal to 0, it acts as a short circuit. It acts as a short circuit. For DC, it acts as a short circuit. Okay, and for high value of omega, it will act as a open circuit. High value of impedance. So that means it allows DC and blocks AC. Do you agree with this? So DC will easily pass through inductor because it acts as a short circuit to DC. But the AC component will be dropped across the inductor. And you see here, from the diode, the voltage that you get is like this. Yes, and if it is half wave, then it will be only like, it will be like this, and then 0, and then this. So it has some DC component, but it has also AC component. If you take the Fourier series, you know that this has DC component plus it has AC component. The AC component is the ripple. AC component is the ripple. So now, if you have a inductor, the role of inductor is to allow DC to pass, and it blocks AC. Now, what is the role of capacitor? What is the role of capacitor? You know what is the impedance of capacitor? 1 by j omega C. So for omega is equal to 0, that means for DC, XC is infinity. So that means it will not allow DC to pass. For the DC, it will act as open circuit. For DC, it will act as a open circuit. So it blocks DC. We can say that it blocks, but it allows the flow of AC, because for AC, for any high value of omega, XC is equal to 0. So it will act as a short circuit for the AC. So it will allow AC to pass, but it will not allow DC to pass. So it blocks DC, but it allows AC. So this is the two contradictory role, one for the inductor and one for the capacitor. Okay. So whatever is the AC component, it will pass through this capacitor and it will go into the ground. So the ripple, whatever is here, most of the ripple will finish. So what you get here, you will get like this. You will get filtered output. You will get filtered output. It's not perfect DC. If you have very big capacitor, then it will be like perfect DC. Otherwise, it will have some ripple. Okay. Originally, it has big ripple. But due to capacitor filter, due to the AC component, the ripple component will go into ground. It will allow all the AC to pass, but it will block the DC. So that means the it will not allow the DC to pass. So the DC will go to the load and the AC will go to the ground. So you will have a filtered output at the load. Understand? Any question here?
But doctor, shouldn't the output voltage be the same for both as they are in parallel?
Yes, the output voltage will be the same. The output voltage will be the same, and you will see how the output voltage will look like. The thing is that you see here I am showing IC, the capacitor current. Okay, so we'll see how the voltage waveform looks like. You see here, this is the voltage waveform that will look like across the capacitor and same as across the load, across the resistance. So you see, if there was no resistor, if there was no capacitor, then how the voltage will be at the output? Output voltage will be like this. Then it will be 0, and then it will be like this. This is the voltage if there is no capacitor. Okay. Yes.
Professor, so you're implying that the capacitor will get rid of the AC component, right?
Yes. It will get rid of AC
as-
component, and it will allow the DC to pass. So now how much AC it will reject, or how much filtering it will do, or how much AC it will pass through it, and how much DC it will allow to pass through it, or means it will give to the load. That depends upon the value of the capacitor. If the value of capacitor is high, then you get almost like, it's like this. You'll get like this.
Professor, I remember in the fundamentals, and correct me if I'm wrong, they taught us that when we add the capacitor in parallel with the load, the capacitor will discharge when the diode is blocking the voltage.
Yes.
So we will get these ripples.
Yes.
So what's the relationship between these two principles?
Okay, let me first complete this, and then I'll take up your question. So it will it will be clear to you by itself. Now,
Okay.
you see this I draw. This is the voltage across the resistance. When you have like this, when you have a diode and you have a resistance and you have a AC source, so this is your output. Okay, you agree? Okay. Now, what will happen if you have a capacitor? So when you have a capacitor and the current is coming from this diode, so it will pass through the capacitor and it will charge the capacitor. So when it will charge the capacitor, the voltage across the capacitor will increase. And once the voltage across capacitor is increased equal to the source voltage, then it will turn off the diode. Because you see here, this is your diode and this is your capacitor. If this voltage is 200 volt and this is 199 volt, then it will turn off the diode. So the capacitor voltage and the output voltage are the same. They are increasing like this. Now, at this point, when your capacitor is fully charged, and your source decreases slightly, when its source decreases slightly, what will happen? The diode will be off. The diode will be off. So when the diode is off, what will happen? The capacitor will now discharge through the load. It will discharge through the load. So before, capacitor was charging, and now when the diode is off, because this voltage has increased beyond the value of the source, so the capacitor will discharge through the load. When it discharges, what will happen? The output voltage decreases. The output voltage, or the voltage across the load, or the voltage across the capacitor, will discharge. It has charged to the full VM, but now it will discharge. And it will discharge, and as soon as it reach this point, when the source voltage has again come back, now the source voltage is more. So as soon as the source voltage is more, the diode is not turned on. And when it is turned on, capacitor again starts charging. Again it starts charging, and it reaches peak value. And then once again the diode is turned off, and the capacitor discharges. So it will not go to the zero value, like in the previous case, and the blue one, it was going to zero. No, it will not go to zero. It will go to some value, minimum value, then again come back, and then again like this. So you can see that this is the minimum voltage, this is the maximum voltage. So this is the voltage ripple. This is the voltage ripple. Before, voltage ripple was this much, was equal to the VM. But now the voltage ripple is this much. It will only go from minimum to maximum. Now, how much it will discharge? How much it will discharge? That depends upon the value of the capacitor and RC circuit. Not only C, but it depends upon RC, time constant. If the time constant is too large, then it will be like less. It will not discharge that much. If it is further more, it will be like this much. So the ripple will be different, and if your RC constant is different. So this is like this is like a triangular shape. So this is how the output voltage will look like. So this is not perfect DC, but this is close to DC. Now, yes.
Doctor, so the capacitor compensates for the negative half wave.
Yes, certainly.
So is this still
It will
a half wave
hold.
rectifier?
It is still a half wave rectifier, but it will hold the voltage. It will hold the voltage. It will hold the voltage. So voltage will not drop to zero. But it will drop to some value, minimum value. And as soon as it reaches this point, now your source voltage again comes back. So your source voltage is now 201 volt. So as soon as it is 201 volt, the diode will turn on again. The diode will turn on again.
Okay.
So now here what I have marked, this interval, you see, from this to this interval, your diode is on, capacitor is charging. Then from this green, this to this, it is diode is off, capacitor is discharging. And then once again, from here to here, your capacitor is charging, the diode is on. So at what instant, what is the instant theta at which your diode will be off and capacitor will start discharging? And alpha is the instant at which the capacitor will start charging again. The diode will be on in the next cycle. So we have to find out this value of theta and alpha. Okay. Okay. So you see the output voltage is same as the input voltage, when your diode is on. When your diode was on, when diode is on, you are getting the same voltage. But when the diode is off, what you are getting? You are getting the discharging profile of the capacitor. This is what you are getting. So this is like a capacitor and a resistance, and this is plus, this is minus, and the capacitor is discharging. Capacitor is discharging. So you have RC circuit. You have RC circuit without any source, pre-charged capacitor voltage, and this pre-charged capacitor is discharging through the load. So what is the expression for this RC circuit? For this RC circuit, when the diode is off, you have this as your output voltage expression. That is the expression for this voltage, this part. So it is V theta e to the power of minus omega t minus theta over omega by omega RC, where V theta is Vm sin theta. Okay, you understand these two? This is when the diode is on, this is when the diode is off. It is just RC circuit, natural response, RC circuit, natural response, RC circuit, natural response, natural response with some V naught, with some V naught. Okay. So now we solve for theta and express theta so that in the proper quadrant, because you know theta is here, it is after pi by 2, it should be greater than pi by 2. So theta we obtain as tan inverse minus omega RC, but you have to add plus pi to this so that it is in the proper quadrant. In practical circuit, where the time constant is large, then theta is equal to pi by 2, and Vm sin theta is simply Vm, as I told you. Here you see, if it is like practically, here what I have shown, that I have shown that the capacitor is, you see, this was your Vm, the peak value, and the diode is off after some instant of time at theta. But practically, theta and pi by 2 are same. Means as soon as it reaches the peak value, as soon as it reaches the peak value, the diode turns off and capacitor is start discharging. Okay. Now, so solve again using numerical technique for alpha. Actually, I skipped some mathematics, and straight away I gave the expression. Okay, so I skipped some mathematical part, and I just give you the expression directly to solve for the alpha, for the value of alpha. If you want to see more, you can look into this. The derivation is not given here. That directly I give you the expression. And for the capacitor current, the expression is found for the off diode, and for the diode when it is on, the capacitor current, the peak value of the capacitor current, the resistor current at omega t plus, means in the next cycle, 2 pi by L plus alpha. So this is the expression. Diode peak current, this is the expression. And the main important equation here is this. These two, the voltage ripple, which is the minimum voltage, maximum minus minimum, which is Vm 1 minus sine alpha, and approximately this is equal to Vm upon F into RC. So you can find the value of capacitor for given percentage of the voltage ripple, for given voltage ripple. Okay. So the output voltage ripple is reduced. So this is the voltage ripple equation. If you increase capacitor value, the voltage ripple will decrease. So the output voltage ripple is reduced by increasing the filter capacitor as C increases. The conduction interval for the diode decreases. Therefore, increasing the capacitance to reduce the output voltage ripple results in large peak diode current. So if you increase the value of capacitor, the ripple will decrease, but the current will increase. So this is the meaning. Now this is an example. It says that a half wave rectifier, 120 volt RMS, 60 hertz, or 500 ohm, capacitor 100 micro, determine expression for output voltage, peak to peak ripple, expression for the capacitor current, peak diode current, and then value of capacitor such that the ripple is 1%, such that the ripple is 1%. So once again, it is all like, substitution example. The peak value is this, omega RC is this. So you get the theta as the tan inverse omega RC plus pi, and Vm sine theta is 169. So the angle is determined from this expression. Angle is 48 degree. The output voltage expression, this is for when diode is on, and this is when diode is off, and the peak is Vm1 minus sine alpha. So, and the ripple and the capacitor current, directly you put all the values in the expression. Then the peak diode current, this, you put in the expression, you get the value. And then the last part, when the ripple is 1% of Vm, then you put the value here and you get the value of capacitor. So to keep 1%, this is the value. Now suppose if you have 10% ripple, what will be the value of C? Okay, so you put here 0.1, so it will increase by one more order. Yes, sorry, it will, because you decrease the ripple, you increase the ripple. So when you increase the ripple, this will be 333.3. Okay. Now, effect of source inductance. You see here, in all the previous analysis, we assumed the source without inductance. But there are some inductance of the source, and you have some inductance here. So what will be the impact on the circuit if you have a inductance in the source? So this is what is discussed here, the impact of the source inductor. So you see the basic thing with the inductor. The basic thing with the inductor is that it does not allow instantaneous change of current. Instantaneous change in current. So what will happen due to this? So if there is an inductance, then there will be a rise of current and there will be fall of current. And if there is no inductance, we show like this. The current goes like this and it comes like this. We show like this. Okay. But if you have inductance, it will allow slow rise of current and then it will allow slow fall of current. So there will be rise and fall of current. There will be no sudden jump in the current. Now we assume that the load inductance is high. So that if the load inductance is high, that means what? This current is constant DC. Constant DC. This is the meaning. If you have high inductance, so there is no ripple in the current, and you have constant DC. Okay. So capacitor reduces the voltage ripple, and inductor reduces current ripple. Okay. Now, when the source voltage is positive, diode D1 is on, but source current rises slowly. Now, the current that is coming from here will rise slowly due to source inductance. Now, due to D2 must remain on to supply the load. Because you see, you have assumed that this current is constant. There has to be I0. Now, if you apply KCL at this point, then the source current plus the diode current should be equal to the DC current, the load current. If this current is not there, then load current should be supplied from the diode. The load current should be supplied from the diode. So this is what is mentioned here, that when the source voltage is positive, D1 is on, but source current rises slowly due to the source inductance. So D2 must remain on to supply the load. The period when D1 and D2 remains on is called the commutation period or overlap period. This overlap causes reduction in the total average output voltage. Understand? So what is happening here, that you see diode is on, but it is not, the current has started building up. There is no sudden jump in the current, but the load needs current. So what is happening, that this diode will supply the current in that time. So that means both D1 and D2 both are on at the same time. This is happening why? Because of this inductor. So both D1 and D2 will turn on at some point. And this period of time in which both D1 and D2 are on, this is called commutation overlap. Now, why it is called commutation overlap? Commutation overlap means what? That you see, commutation means turning off. So ideally what should happen, that when diode D1 is on, D1 is on, D2 should go off. And when D2 is on, D1 should go off. So this should ideally happen. You have seen that D1 works alone, D2 works alone. They should work independent. Like once this is off, then this will start working. When this is on, this will stop working. This should be the case. But due to the inductor in the source, what is happening? Current rising slowly. So since there is no current from the source side initially, so for some period, D1 and D2 both will remain on. And this time is called the commutation overlap. Do you understand? Do you have any question here? Yes?